Time to break down the latest commitments in college football.
Locked On presents The Portal, the daily podcast covering college football recruiting and everything NIL. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back into the Portal Podcast, where you get your daily recruiting, NIL, and transfer portal news. I'm your host, Brian Smith, longtime college football writer and recruiting analyst. Thank you for making the Portal Podcast your first listen each and every day. And we're just going to break down 5 commitments, the latest being Brock Harris out of the state of Utah committing to the Brigham Young Cougars. We'll get to him in a minute. He's probably the biggest name, but there are 4 other really good players. And one of them I've had a chance to be around a little bit, and that is Javari Barnett out of Tampa Tech. He is committed to play for the Illinois Fighting Illini, one of the best all-around running backs in the country. He is a 3-pronged player. Run it, catch it, or block. He's a kid that's strong enough, has the physicality in terms of his nature, and he's just athletic enough to do anything you really want, regardless of offensive scheme. I don't care what his ranking is. I don't care who offered him. I've seen him play live, and he was at Future 50 last year. That's one of the best events in the country for underclassmen. I would imagine that the Under Armour people by now kind of know what they're doing. So let's put this mildly. Illinois got a steal. How he's getting out of the state of Florida, like so many other kids, I don't know. But Javari Barnett is a guy that I think will thrive at Illinois. So congrats to that young man. He could have went a lot of other places, but Illinois wins out. Now let's talk a little bit about Brock Harris. This is a kid that came to Under Armour last year, even though he's from Utah. And we're like, who is this kid? And he just killed it in one-on-ones. He's really good when it comes to his ability to make breaks and set up a DB or a linebacker in one-on-ones. Pass receiver first. I think he can block pretty good, but I want him in the routes. Natural with his hands, catches the ball away from his body, and he has a chance to be a really good player in BYU's system. Good for them. It's cool to see somebody outside the norm get him, and he could have picked one of the traditional blue bloods, a Michigan or a Miami or whatever. But he decided, you know what, I'm going to go to BYU. He whittled it down to a handful of schools, and he's going to stay home. Big pickup for Brigham Young. They don't get enough of these kind of guys to get them over the top. And, their coaching staff's done a great job. But you start sprinkling in players like Brock, that changes the BYU football program, because they can be more of a threat offensively to strike quick and spread you out and cause problems. Again, as a receiving threat, I think Brock's going to play really quick. How much he's going to block as a freshman at BYU, that's usually where tight ends struggle, and he'll handle his own. He's a good athlete, but he's got a ways to go in the weight room like any other tight end will as a freshman. But I just don't see how BYU keeps him off the field. They have to find a way to make him viable in the run game, so everybody doesn't know what the play is when he comes out there, but they got to play him. He's just too good in the receiving game. We'll see what he does right out of the gate, but if I had to wager, I'd say he ended up starting next year as like their second back in their 12 package at least. I don't know if he'll start as the number 1 tight end as a freshman. Again, that's hard, but just as a receiver, he is really, really good. Moving on to North Carolina, this is a kid that I thought was a good player. Then I went back through his film, and I actually put out a post via YouTube, a post on all the different social medias, actually on X, on Instagram, and on TikTok. Amari Johnson is a kid from Jackson Academy, just on the edge of Jackson, Mississippi, that I don't know what position I'd play him at for all the right reasons. Return man is elite. Corner is elite, playing off ball, driving on the ball. As a receiver, he fakes guys out constantly with his routes, his timing, his hesitations, his ability to break right at the precise moment makes him a deep threat. And I think if I had to pick, I'd play him at receiver, because if you can get guys to get over the top of a defense, it just changes games instantaneously. But we'll see. He could play safety because of his hand-eye coordination and his ability to time it up. And again, he's played corner. I wouldn't rule out running back, but he's not the biggest guy, around 6 foot, 170 pounds, maybe a little bit more, but just electric. He had over 1,750 yards last year in total offense and 25 touchdowns. He's going to North Carolina. This is the second player that Bill Belichick and the Tar Heels have picked up from Mississippi. That's a good trend for them because he's a really, really good football player. I'm sure Belichick and his staff will figure it out as far as where does Amari play. I'll let Bill figure that out, but you're a really good football player. Next up, this is a guy that is your prototypical interior power player as a defensive lineman. From Prosper High School, Jake Johnson, just outside of Dallas, has committed to the USC Trojans. This is a kid that I was hinting about this weekend. I didn't know when he was going to pop. I didn't know how they had it. All these schools schedule these things to try to get maximum advertisement out of it and promote their programs, and they should. Jake commits today, and I believe that he's a guy that is going to have a chance to be the starting nose guard at USC at some point. Raw power. He would rather play downhill instead of use some kind of spin move or anything fancy. He wants to bull rush you. He wants to rip right through, and he wants to slide between two players with his shoulder underneath you and just raging through you, making you look bad. This is an old school football player. USC hasn't had enough of these guys in the last several years. Jake Johnson is a return to old school football for USC in terms of his style. I like it. USC is putting together an elite D-line class. I believe he's the 7th D-line commitment. I mean, it's a lot. And he's a kid, again, out of Dallas. So we'll see where they go from here and how many more they take. But right now it's kind of hard to imagine anybody other than the Southern California Trojans ending up with the number 1 D-line class. Jake Johnson's another really good player to add to the mix. They're going to be much different in the trenches for years to come. Next up, and the kid that I don't think enough people have talked about, another kid out of the Dallas area, Copperas Cove High School. This is a player that just plays with technique, leverage, and grit. Kind of like Jake Johnson. Dallas kids seem to have that going for him in this year. Power, though. Like when you're going to play interior offensive line, you better have it. Marcus Uni, if I'm pronouncing that right, it's U-I-N-I. If I'm mispronouncing that, I apologize. Committed to Arizona State. Man, is that kid strong. He gets leverage on somebody and just methodically moves them back. He plays with power. He plays under his pads. He will use angles. He gets to the second level. He will find a second block. He's my kind of guy. I really liked him. I'd seen him before, but I didn't really remember the film until I turned it back on. I'm like, oh, okay, I see why Arizona State wanted him. Now remember now, Arizona State was just in the playoff. Their staff can evaluate talent. This is a kid that's got a chance to play early. Arizona State doesn't usually get kids like this that have this much raw power. He's 6'3", 6'4", 300 pounds, and he's used to playing against Dallas area competition. That's going to help him out. I don't think there's going to be a long wait for him to play. I would imagine as a redshirt freshman, he'll have a chance to compete for starting reps at ASU. It's up to him. But already, again, he's got the power, he has the size, and he's just got the low base and the consistency. He drives his feet after contact. If he doesn't play early, I'll be surprised. I'll just leave it at that. So Arizona State gets a really good commitment as well. And overall, just kind of looking at this list, I think it's just the tip of the iceberg. But we're starting to see some really good players commit. There's another commitment later this week I expect for an elite school that I know about and a couple others. We're going to see a lot of commitments this week. And then we get in the middle of next week, it'll explode even more because after this next weekend, many spring games and spring showcases, whatever they are, these young men go to, they'll make decisions between Saturday and this next Tuesday. So the next week will be full of them. There could be a day where I do 3 different podcasts about commitments in one day here on the Portal Podcast. It is certainly possible. And on the 16th, the traditional spring window for the transfer portal opens. So you got a lot to learn and find out about this like I do about where everybody's going. I have some ideas on a few kids, but we're going to be talking about a lot of them, breaking down their film and discussing everything here on the Portal Podcast. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and bookmark us. I'd love to have you come check us out and check out all the shorts I got on YouTube, a lot of different evaluations and a lot of different film from Under Armour camps, Elite 11 and everything else. So make sure you check out the YouTube page to find it. It's at the Portal Podcast on YouTube. Everybody have a good one. I'll see you again soon.